What's wrong with diversity? Well, if people are diverse, then they probably want different things out of society, right? So, I mean, think about democracy for a second. What's going to be better if 100% of the population wants single payer healthcare, or if they're more diverse and 50% wants single payer healthcare and 50% doesn't want single payer healthcare? Which is going to be better? Which is going to be a smoother political process? Obviously, the society where everyone agrees, they can just implement the policy they want, and they'll probably be on approximately the same page, so they'll agree on how to adjust it if it's not working or if it is working, right? They'll probably agree on stuff because they agree on stuff. They are homogenous. Whereas the diverse, the more diverse society is like, well, what do? They're going to have to compromise, and no one's going to be happy. Who knows what Frankenstein policy they're going to come up with because they can't all agree on stuff, right? Sort of the situation that we have, right? But, this is the problem. If you're more diverse, then how is everyone going to be happy? If you're more homogenous, then obviously, then people are going to be more likely to, agree on how to do things. I mean, this is just brain dead obvious. The idea that it's bad for people to segregate and go live amongst other people who are just like that. Well, they'll just be happier, and they'll be able to, everything will go better. Everyone will agree on what the kids should be taught in school. Everyone will agree on their values and their virtues, and there'll be more, trust and stuff, right? It'll just be better for everyone. But it's like in public school, of course, they told us, no, you have to accept the diversity or you're an evil racist. You have to accept the diversity or you're an evil person. Okay. How many wars were fought because everyone's just not diverse enough? How dare you worship the same God as me? How dare you? I mean, I haven't heard of that too much, right? It's usually the opposite, right? It's so obvious. I'm just thinking critically. That's all I'm doing, okay? I'm just permitting myself to think the forbidden thoughts, which is maybe diversity is not, just always the greatest thing in the universe. Maybe having people who want the same society as you, maybe having a community with a bunch of people who want the same society as you, maybe that would have some benefits. I don't know. There's a famous study from Robert Putnam, and he surveyed a bunch of people in different communities that had different levels of diversity, and he was basically trying to get to the bottom of things and figure out, how much do they trust each other in less diverse communities or more diverse communities. And what he actually found was the more ethnically diverse the people we live around, the less we trust them. Okay, so here you can see the results, and the horizontal is measuring, the x-axis is measuring the homogeneity of the community. So, San Francisco is on the left because it's much more diverse, and then on the right you have the much more homogenous societies. I see what they did there, left and right. And then up and down is how much you trust other races. And you can see in San Francisco and Los Angeles, they're much more diverse, but they trust other races much less. Whereas in rural South Dakota, it's much more homogenous and they trust other races more, right? And there's a clear correlation there. And it's not just, but that's the thing, it's not just other races, it's also your own race, it's also your own neighbors. Okay, so people trust their own neighbors more, even though their neighbors are probably going to be their own race. They trust them more if the whole community, the whole region basically is less diverse. Okay, and going beyond just trust, he found that in areas of greater diversity, respondents demonstrate lower confidence in local government, local leaders, and local news media. Right? Lower confidence in their own political influence, which makes sense, right? Because if the community is more diverse, it's like, well, are they serving my group specifically? Are our needs being addressed? Or is, it's trying to cover more ground, right? If you're more diverse. So it's like, how can you trust your political leaders to be doing what is precisely in your interest, right? There's lower frequency of registering to vote, but more interest and knowledge about politics, and more participation in protest marches and social reform groups. And there's less expectation that others will cooperate to solve dilemmas of collective action, like voluntary conservation to ease a water or energy shortage, less likelihood of working on a community project, lower likelihood of giving to charity or volunteering, fewer close friends and confidants, less happiness and lower perceived quality of life, more time spent watching television, more agreement that television is my most important form of entertainment. Okay, he said, diversity seems to trigger not in-group or out-group division, but anomie or social isolation. In colloquial language, people living in ethnically diverse settings appear to hunker down, that is, to pull in like a turtle. Okay, this is what he found. Basically, that there are short term consequences to diversity, and he was trying to actually prove the benefits of diversity. Right? He's more on the left. It's very clear if you read the report, which you really should. But it's like, I mean, this sort of just seems obvious when you think about it, right? Like I said, when the government is trying to serve a diverse community, that means that it's less likely to be serving your own interests, right? Whereas if everyone is homogenous and everyone agrees, then you can be confident that you're all getting what you want, right? So really, I mean, it's amazing because with the diversity rhetoric, you would think that the worst thing ever would be for us to divide amongst ourselves and everyone to be living in communities with other people who are like them and to be just doing what they want, and that right to be legislating based on what the people need, and not to have, to serve all these diverse groups and to answer to all these different interest groups and stuff. That would just be the worst, right? But it's like, well, there would definitely be some benefit from that, right?